this is problem 12 and 14 of Unit 4, Review Problems. So I'm just going to assume that you've read the problem over, and so I'm just going to dive in because it might take a while to do this problem. It's got many parts. So basically what we're doing is the first part is we're spinning a spinner. Okay, and the spinner, half of the spinner is a 5, and then a quarter is a 10, and then a quarter is 20. So I guess you, like a game, you spin it. Okay, so they want a probability model for that. So let's call the random variable S, and then we have 3 outcomes. We have 5, 10, and 20. So the probability of these outcomes, one is 50%, right, half, and then 0.25 and 0.25. So that's the probability model. Then the expected value, mu, the expected value of S, is the sum of the outcomes times the probability of the outcomes. So that's just 5 times 0.5, right? And then 10 times plus 10 times 0.25, and 20, not equals, plus 20 times 0.25. And I get 10. Okay? And then to find the standard deviation, I first find the variance. So the variance of S is going to be the sum of all the outcomes minus mu squared times the probability of the outcomes. So that's just going to be 5 minus 10 squared times 0.5 plus 10 minus 10 squared times 0.25 and 20 minus 10 squared times 0.25. So this comes out to be, let's see, 37.5. So the standard deviation of S is the square root of 37.5, and that is, I get 6.12. Okay, so I think that's A and B. Now create a probability model for the die. So the die is kind of a screwy die. It has 2 sides with 0, and then 4, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I think what we're looking at is, draw a little picture, we're looking at a die like this, and if we kind of think of it as this, let's say we put a 0 on the bottom and a 0 on the top, and then all the way around the sides is 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 sides to the die. So let's let our random variable be D. Okay, and then let's create a model. The probability of D. So 0 is going to occur twice. So 2 out of 6. 1 is 1 out of 6. 2 is 1 out of 6. 3 is 1 out of 6. And finally 4 is 1 out of 6. So there's our probability model. To find mu, it's just going to be 0 times 2 divided by 6 plus 1 times 1 divided by 6 plus 2 times 1 6 plus 3 times 1 6 and plus 4 times 1 6. And I get 2.22. Is that right? No. That's not what I get. That's what I got for the variance. I get 1.67 when I did it with the calculator. Okay, so now to find a standard deviation, we have to take 0 and subtract off 1.67, square it, and multiply it by 2 over 6. Then I take 1 minus 1.67, square it, multiply it by 1 over 6, plus 2 minus 1.67 squared times 1/6, plus 3 times, no wait, plus 3 minus 1.67 squared times 1 over 6, and finally 4 minus 1.67 squared times 1/6. And that comes out to be 2.222. So the standard deviation is the square root of 2.22, and that is 1.49. Okay, so I think, let's see, I think that gets us through. That's just all the model build-up stuff. So now we have a question. Find the mean and standard deviation of the number of spaces you get to move. So I think what's happening is this is a weird game. In order to get your moves, you spin the spinner and you roll the die. Okay, so what they're asking us is, what's the expected value of the spinner plus the die? So that's just the expected value. What do we expect when we do the spinner plus what do we expect from the die? Okay, so from the spinner it was 10, and from the die it was 1.67, so 11.67. Now the question is, again, so what's the standard deviation? So it's the variance. We work with variances first. The variance of two random variables, we just add them. In the book, it's the variance of x plus or minus y is equal to the variance of x plus the variance of y. This is on page 380. Anyway, so usually we have to get the standard deviation and square it, but we've already got the variances here, right? For D, it's 2.22, and up here it was 37.5 for the spinner. Okay, so the standard deviation of S plus D equals the square root of 37.5 plus 2.22. So that's going to be 6.30 spaces. That's the standard deviation. So that answers this one. Find the mean and standard deviation of spaces you get to move, because that's, I think up here they said somewhere that you roll both, you spin the spinner and you roll the die. Now for problem 14, if you land in a penalty zone on the game board described in exercise 12, your move will be determined by subtracting the roll of the die from the spinner. So we're going to take the spinner value and subtract off the roll of the die. Now what are the mean and standard deviations of the number of spots you may move? Okay, so what do you expect? That's what they're asking us. Well, that's just the expected value of S minus the expected value of D. So S was 10, and this was 1.67. So it's going to be 8.33. Okay, and then so the variance of S minus D is just equal to the variance of S plus the variance of D. But we've already done that, right? That's the same thing because the formula is the same. If you're subtracting, you're going to add variances. So it's just this right here. So the standard deviation is going to be the same. Okay, so you really don't even have to compute it, but 37.5 plus 2.22, so the standard deviation is going to equal of the difference. It's going to be the square root of this. You could add them if you want. And what was it? It was 6.30. Okay, so when you calculate when you calculate the difference of two random variables, when you calculate the variance, you always add them. All right, so that's how you do this problem. Pretty straightforward after a while. These are discrete random variables. Okay, good luck.